get to the gates where JetBlue normally you don't.
Okay.
And then there's at the gate area that people are just packed in next, cheek by jowl.
Can you hear us? Well, thank you, Renee. And Jim, we've got the decals for the wheelchairs here. You want me to just drop them off at your office?
That would be great, or either that or, yeah, that would be great, if you don't mind.
Okay. And Chase, can you hear us? Hello? Perfect. And you're going to be the scribe today? Hey, and you're going to be the scribe today, Chase?
Yeah.
Okay, so if anybody says something that you can't understand or hear, just let us know and we'll try to make sure that's audible to you.
Thank you.
Did you try adjusting the audio as I suggested? Kirk, I assume you can still hear me even though you're muted. Do you try and adjusting the audio as I suggested so that it's clear?
Yes, Stu, I'm here.
So the question is, based on the email that I sent you where I suggested you turn off the automatic level on the Zoom computer and you turn it down, did you do that? Because the audio has been really crummy.
So the audio is really faint to everybody?
No, it's not. It's the opposite. When people speak into the wireless mic, it overloads it. We can't understand anything here on Zoom. It's fine now because no one's near the microphone.
I can sort of hear you. I'm hearing a little bit. I can make some changes.
Let me try asking again. There's so much background noise. I don't know if you can hear me. I sent you an email where I suggested you go to the Zoom computer and you go to the audio settings and you turn the audio level down so it doesn't overload. Do you remember that email? Have you done that? Yeah, I muted the room here in Lowry, so maybe Kirk can hear me. Kirk, I sent you an email, a couple of emails where I suggested you go to the computer that's running Zoom and you go to the lower left-hand side where the microphone is and click the arrow where the audio settings are and go to the audio settings and change everything to turn off the automatic level and turn down the manual level because it overloads the, turn down the volume on the microphone because it's overloading the feed to Zoom and we can't understand anything when people are speaking directly in the wireless mic. Going to be hard for Chase to keep notes. We can't understand what people are saying. Anyhow, we're live on Facebook now as well. So
Stu, how was the mask usage in Boston at the airport?
how was what, Jim?
Were they wearing masks?
Oh yeah, so everybody was wearing. They were very compliant with masks. Everybody had masks on, and it's no surprise. I was saying that when we got to the curb at McCarran, when the car dropped us off, there were people like standing at the doors who wouldn't even let you in through the doors unless you had a mask on. And then the airline was quite insistent. Numerous announcements. Anybody takes it off, they'll land at the nearest airport, kick you off, and arrest you. So,
Wow. Wow.
And even getting off the airplane was great. They forced people to stay in their seats until the person in front of you got up and moved like 6 feet in front before they let you get off. So the airplane was fine, but the airport was terrible. And you had to get on the train to get to the gate. It couldn't have been a more frightening experience to be in the airport when you're trying to avoid people,
Well, at least that process on the plane's better then, because I can never stand it when you land and everybody jumps up and they're all rushing to try to go forward and they're not going to go anywhere. I don't understand why they do that. So maybe this is a little better than getting off the plane.
Yeah. So the flight attendants positioned themselves. First time I've seen them do that. They had one in the front, one in the middle, one in the back. They made an announcement saying, normally, when the belt goes off, people should get up. We're requesting that everybody please stay in your seat until the person in front of you gets their baggage and moves 6 feet in front of you. And when people tried to get up, the flight attendant went right up to them and said, please sit down, and so they did that part fine. But of course, it took about 45 minutes to get off the plane. But
You know what? I hope they keep that policy, though. That sounds pretty good.
yeah, it's hard because you got 3 people on each side. So when the row gets up, it's 6 people, right? But they actually, in this case, on JetBlue, they have every other seat empty. And American was not doing that, but American has just started that now. So all the airlines, as far as I know, or every other seat is empty. So I see them making some noises there, like they're going to start something. When somebody comes up to the microphone, I'll unmute them, and then everybody else should stay on mute until they're ready. For a moment, we can still talk.
Okay.
Yeah, I was telling Karen, we have not been out of the house since really March, but we just had to come here to take care about 3 different mechanical problems that leaky toilets, broken door lock,
Oh boy.
yeah, and I'm waiting for other stuff that's broken that we don't even know about yet. But
Do you still have other family back there?
not at the moment. No, my son is working in Singapore, and he's scheduled to come back here in a year or so. So, but most of our family's in Philadelphia, where we grew up. Yeah, and they're down there. I have 2 brothers and a sister in Philly.
That'd be kind of tough. I hope you have a management company or somebody that can look in on your place once in a while. No, or
Well, yeah, we have a housekeeper who would come by and move the dust around, but more
Okay.
importantly would kind of look for leaks and stuff like that. But she's not capable of repairing the toilet or fixing and the problem was I can remotely shut the alarm on or off until there was a lightning strike, and it killed one of the internet devices that are in the basement that allow me to turn the alarm on and off. So I couldn't turn the alarm off, so she couldn't get in to the house without setting the alarm on. So
I'll tell you, you might want to look into what I'm looking into now. I have a friend of mine who owns a plumbing company, and my house, I think you've been in my house, it has a basement. So that always concerns me if there is a leak or anything like that. So he's got something he's looking into. He's going to get this by Moen. They have them out, but this one looks like it's one of the newer ones that's coming out, where you can shut off the main supply of your water remotely from anywhere in the world. And it detects leaks, and you can put remote sensors in different places that'll shut off the water if it detects any leak. They used to be, pretty darn expensive, but I think they're coming down to about $500 now. That's a pretty good investment, I think.
Yeah,
And
that sounds good. I had not heard of that until about a week ago when the homeowners association and our building, the board, discovered that one of the other buildings on the campus was using that, and they're now looking at putting it in every one of the units in Turnberry, because water is a real problem when, you know, only a third of the units are occupied at any one time, and somebody leaves a bathtub running or something, and it damages, you know, like 5 apartments below,
Right.
you know, not just you. So they're looking at putting that in. I do have a leak detector, which will tell me when there's an actual leak remotely, but I can't shut anything off. But when we leave, okay. Kirk wants me to give him a call. Okay. Let me find out. Let's see.
Hey Jim, check with your homeowners insurance company too. A couple of ours will buy them for you at like a 20% discount, and then there's a discount on the rate. There's another one to check out too called Fin Plus, PHYN Plus. Super
PHYN?
sophisticated. What's that?
Did you say PHYN?
Yep.
Okay.
And then my alarm company does it. So not only will they install the device with access on your phone, but they'll actually monitor.
Let's see if we can get him. We can tell. Thank you for doing this, sir. It's kind of fun. It's funny, Harry says, no, I can't disrupt you. I said he's talking to me and he can talk to me. Then he said, no, I can't go down. Oh, he's telling you. You see him on the phone. He's coming to punch numbers because he's got an old phone. I'm surprised he's not ready to go. Let's see what happens. Oh, it should have done that. 324-6874. He has something. So what he's suggesting is, there he goes. Yeah, hit answer, there we go. Still. So you have some ideas about what you want to do in the settings, right? And the way it is right now, I'm in the input devices, there's a microphone array, and then there's a microphone, okay? Yeah, I have that. I've turned it.
Did we show this to Renee Gamera on here?
So the microphone is the camera.
Probably better to just take a picture and email it to them.
Okay.
And it comes into my computer as something called microphone. Okay. So let's go back.
Okay, awesome. Was it cool?
It was a small, it was like 10 or 15 people breakfast meeting. But it was cool. The sheriff spoke. So,
The only thing I've got to test and see what he's doing.
the drive was a little long, but the dog was great. The whole way there, the whole time there, the whole way back. Dog loved running around.
So I can only disable or all
And all the chasing all the
my
sticks
input devices.
and frogs, because they had frogs. A whole bunch of wild frogs. So, you know, you'd go and sniff and it would hop and you'd be like, what? And then sniff and then it hopped. We had a blast.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay, you want to do something in Zoom?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did. We did. We got 18
We're late getting started with the meeting today.
Yeah. Fresh pecans, pizza, pizza ice cream, cinnamon covered.
I got it. I'm ready.
It's just like, oh yeah, pimento cheese spread with bacon. It's all kinds of like, so good.
Yeah, here. You want me to increase the volume?
Well, good.
How's your
Yeah, just unclick that. Okay, done. Done.
Vacation out of the West Coast, Las Vegas for a couple days, and then we
Yeah, that's the volume.
nice?
You mean to increase
our
that?
Boston trip, we were supposed to go to Boston, but it's 14-day quarantine when
Oh.
you show up, and it's enough to stay in the hotel for 14 days. Our vacation was a 14 days long. So we're like, we're not going. So we canceled our flights and our hotel rooms and
Okay.
we just stayed
Oh.
there. So
Yeah.
Because it was
that's
real low.
supporting my
I don't know how we can get, okay, we can try this.
Sure, you do.
Boston's going there.
That's what I said. So that'll be another day that we get to do that.
Oh yeah,
So,
Boston's so much fun.
my husband has been dying to take our kids there.
Boston, Philadelphia.
Well, the input level is spiking across the spectrum of that.
We watched Hamilton and then we watched this movie. So we were listening to the soundtrack the whole way there. And we watched it with my colleagues. And just, we were listening to American History podcast, and I've done all that.
Can you hear us here at all, Stu? Can everybody hear us?
They're all on mute.
Yeah.
Stu,
I don't
We
know.
can hear.
Okay, I got it now. I know where you're at. You wanted me to do this in Zoom.
Right now, you're going to use this microphone as opposed to the input. Okay.
He wants me to use the Zoom. The app that's in Zoom. He wants it out of automatic adjustment.
But right now, it's picking up not the PA system, but this microphone.
That's what it is.
Okay.
So I'm not sure if they can hear us now or not.
Well, that's the input level, so they should. So it's going to be a lot of background music.
Right.
Background.
So we can, hey Stu, can you hear us?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Hopefully you can hear us.
So everybody in the audience, give me a thumbs up if you can hear us.
Oh, there we go. And Steve's like, yeah.
All right, so we're good.
Okay. Because I'm looking at, it's like a $300 mic. Like this, but it's a well, it's like it's got a built-in microphone. It's like $20, but that it's to say you can only
Well, let's see.
the audio together. Open it up.
He's got something going on. Okay.
We ready? Good afternoon and welcome to the greatest Rotary Club in the world, the Las Vegas. Good afternoon and welcome to the greatest Rotary Club in the world. Our invitation today will be given by Kim.
Hi, everybody. In light of what's going on, I figure out today we'll do this serenity prayer. So here we go. God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. Heavenly Father, I just want to thank you so much for bringing us together at the end and keeping us and our families safe so far. I thank you for the fellowship of Rotary and all the great work that we do in our communities. And I pray that you continue to strengthen us and keep us united in the spirit of Rotary. Help us serve our communities the best way we can, especially at this time of need. And I pray that you bless all of our friends who are joining us virtually that are unable to be here for one reason or another, that we may continue this fellowship of Rotary through the spirit of fellowship and togetherness and serving our community. I say that in the name of our Father and Jesus. Amen. Amen.
If you would tee up a patriotic song celebrating our wonderful country.
Yes, indeed.
Song in the dust of the country road, on the wind comes the call, and it sings in the farms and the factory towns, and where we think there be no song at all. And the words are the words that our fathers heard as they whistled down the years, and the name of the song is the name of the dream that's music to our ears. America, America. And the dream goes on. America, America. And the dream goes on. We read on the courthouse walls are the words that make us scream. And the more we remember the way we began, the closer we get to the best we can be. Was there ever a time we forgot this word, all the stumbles and the scars? We need to be chill on the smile of the hope, and a flag that still the stars. America, America. And the dream goes Songs the same as we sing from sea to sea. And as long as we're music is strong and clear, we know that tomorrow will always be free.
Will you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. And thank you to all of the 25 club members who helped out today, including Kathy. Setup, beginning with the invitation, Rose, the sergeant in arms, Walt for the stare down, and face with the scribe, and Steve, past President Steve, for the photography today. Well, I'm sorry to say that the birthday table was sparsely attended for September. I guess I'll fine myself for not sitting at the birthday table, and I won't make Ted sing to himself at the birthday table. But happy birthday, Ted. And to you, Richard. Jim Hunt, did you want to say something about the Wheelchair Foundation?
Yeah, thank you, President Richard. Good afternoon, fellow Rotarians, honored guests that are there. I was asked to say a few words just to give you a little update. I know everyone's curious about what's happening with Santa Claus, and the good news is we are going to have a Santa Claus. I think there's some up there. Okay, good. We of course have challenges. We've been working really closely. Michael Gordon, Ginger Anderson, and Tom Krob and I have been working with the organizations that we serve, and we've had Zoom calls with them to see how we can make it happen. And unfortunately, as you can imagine, it's just not going to be possible to actually shop with the kids. However, we're going to go forth and cover the most important part of this, which is of course to get winter clothing and shoes for those kids, probably at a time that when it's needed more than ever. So we're going forward. We're going to shop with JCPenney's. We may be, or will all likelihood be, limited to the number of shoppers that we're going to be able to have at each location. So we'll be asking those that are going to be shopping to probably shop for 2 kids, since it'll go a lot quicker. There won't be children there at the malls with us. We're going to shop for the kids. It's going to require a little bit more advanced work, making sure that we have the sizes, colors, a little bit more information that we've had in the past. And then what will happen is the organizations will pick up all of those those bags of clothes for the kids, match them up with a number, and bring them to the respective organizations, and then have their own distribution, and in many cases, probably Christmas parties with them to get them their clothing and toys and things that we're going to be giving them. We're going to have a lot more detail on this on September 17th. I'm going to be trying to come by, and Michael Gordon will be joining me or helping with, kicking off our campaign this year. So if you can be present on September 17th, and we'll have a lot more details. But yes, we're going to have Santa Claus. We're going to get the kids the items. Unfortunately, not shop with them this year, but they'll still benefit from our generosity, hopefully. And the good news is too, is that, in past years, when we've invited, let's say 360 kids, inevitably maybe 10 or 15 can't show up. They either missed the bus or they're not feeling well or something. So we've never had a full 100% participation, but by doing it this way, this year, we will make sure that we shop for every single kid, and their organizations will get those bags of clothes and things to them at one time or another. So we expect to do more than ever this year. So that's the good news.
Thank you, Past President Jim. And with all the bad news about this virus, it's nice to have some good news that there is, in fact, a Santa Claus. A quick reminder to everyone to RSVP to Sean in advance so we can keep track of who's going to come to the meetings. And we're going to give out a Rotary gift to Andy for being so diligent about always RSVPing to come to the meetings. We have plenty more of those Rotary gifts to give out to people who are diligent about RSVPing every single week. Tony, did you want to tell us about Together We Read? Tina.
Oh, So I wanted to give everybody an update on Together We Read, the family reading program that we're doing at Stonebridge Learning Academy. We're midpoint. We've done 3 sessions out of 6. We have a bye on Labor Day, and after that, 3 Mondays in a row, we'll have the next session. Tony and I delivered the first 3 sessions, and coming up, we have presentations to the families from Jackie Thornhill, Bill Steeran, and Dr. Nikki Bates. So it should be exciting. We found that we need additional volunteers. Brian Sorrentino and Judith helped us in the first couple, and if any of you have early in the morning for an hour free, we could use your help in doing projects and activities with the kids while we work with the parents. The result, I did some midpoint results, and this is from self-evaluation done by the parents. How they saw themselves on 4 different questions before and how they saw themselves after. And at midpoint, they see themselves gaining 26.6% in knowledge and skill in reading to their kids. One of the questions, which in my opinion is one of the most important, and it's how to convert the book that they're reading into activities so that the kids get more out of it. And they had said they evaluated themselves increasing 47.7%. So it's looking like a good program, and we're looking forward to giving you the final results when we're finished, and we've got 3 more to go. So thank you.
Thank you, Tina. Renee, if you want to say a few words, do you think about your 25 Club raffle?
Yes, it starts today. Hopefully you can hear me okay. So today the tickets arrived, and the 25 Club has come up with a creative way based off past successes on how to donate 111,000 cans of food for this year. What we're doing this year for the annual canned food drive is a raffle. If you remember from a couple of years ago, we had that one raffle where it was $100 a ticket, 300 tickets, and a $10,000 cash prize. And very similarly, we're doing the same thing today, except now we're selling the tickets for $50. There's a $5,000 cash prize and $10,000 that we hope to, that is the goal for this fundraiser. On November 12th so the raffle we start selling today, and on November 12th, we announce a winner. And besides tickets being available there, you can also, oh, perfect. There's there's a sample right there. Beautiful ticket. One of the biggest changes this year is thanks to Kirk and Stu and a lot of back and forth. We're going to have online sales this time. So after the meeting, I'll be sending everyone a link to where they can purchase a ticket, and you will get your stub in the mail. So on November 12th, we'll pick a lucky winner to give $5,000, and in the process, raise enough money to get to purchase 111,000 cans of food for the community.
Thank you very much, Renee. Jackie, if you want to say anything about delivering the Alan, you said you wanted to say something about SOAR? Yeah.
Oncoming.
Our sergeant at arms has new boots today. Slowly.
You know, I'm not used to this job.
Thank you. Yes. I just have I do have a SOAR announcement regarding the SOAR award. I regret to announce that the SOAR award ceremony that was scheduled for September 21st this month has been canceled. But we are still receiving submissions from the agencies to recognize and honor their nominees. And the idea is that we're going to present the awards at the departments. So unfortunately, the award ceremony this year is canceled, but we hope to make it up to the agencies and honorees next year with a much bigger event. So we look forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. The roster is done. It just was not delivered today. It's apparently there's been a hiccup in the printing, but we expect to have the rosters for you next week. So anybody that is able to attend our meeting next week, hopefully you'll be able to pick up your printed roster, and then kind of watch your emails if you're not planning to come next week. We're hoping to have a drive-through in the parking lot for people who can't attend the meeting, so that we can hand out the rosters and get them in everyone's hands as quickly as possible. Mike Ballard, President-elect Mike Ballard, say a few things about the survey that you're working on.
Yeah, so I'm working with Neil and Stuart LeBoff on a survey at the request of our president, President Jost, and we're going to have a survey next week. And also, we'll have printed ones here at the meeting, as well as we're going to try and email them out to everyone. We'd like your feedback. Every time we've done, or at least the last time we did a survey, we got such great response. And we're hoping to have the same this year. Just what's working in Rotary Club for you? What would we be doing better or different that might help to meet your needs? And so be on the lookout for that. I'd also like to talk about the grants committee.
Yep.
Okay. So we had our first grants committee meeting of the year. The Zoom meeting, we probably had 10 of us on the call. And I thank everyone for their participation. We're reviewing one grant. I had a conversation actually this morning with that person requesting the grant. And they were too vague about what it was going to be used for and those types of things. We've asked for more information. We've got another call scheduled for tomorrow. But we're looking for good organizations for which we could, give them some resources to be able to do some good in our community. So if you know anybody, please reach out to me or Sean or any of the other members of the grants committee. We've got a bunch of us, and I'm sure if I mentioned 3 of them, I'm going to get 6 of them. So send it to me or Sean. Thanks.
Thank you, President-elect Mike. Now I think we'll move right into fines. And I know this is a dirty trick to make Kirk come up here and tee up his own fine. But I don't think I've ever seen a person actually fishing for a fine before. But past President Jim Cole and Kirk went fishing and were foolish enough to share the pictures, presumably fishing for a fine. And so I think we'll go ahead and fine you. How many pounds of fish did you catch?
About our limit.
In pounds?
Oh, no. Number of fish.
Oh, how many fish?
About our limit.
How many fish?
We were done by noon. We had finished by noon, so we were handing off our lots to other people that were on boat fishing. San Diego. We were in San Diego, we've gone out on the charter on one night. And the catch was Dorado, and we caught 73.
Wow. So a $73 fine for you and a $73 fine for Jim?
Yeah, the culprit that sent to the boat.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your donation.
We got a ball.
We're all having fish next week here, right? Because you donate it to Lowry's.
There you go.
So this week, we're going to change things up a little bit. We'll go ahead and do the raffle now. And then right into the our featured speaker, so that we don't have dead time that the people on the Zoom call are watching us eat. So for the chance to draw a joker in the pot, the ticket is 8139-201. All right, Tina.
It does, doesn't it?
You can't draw without your mask on.
Oh, no.
Oh. Ooh, here we go.
I know where you live. Congratulations.
And for the lottery bucks, ticket 8139-185.
Hold them up, Brian. In front of your face so you can't see that you're not wearing it. There you go.
Thank you for your donations. And as I said, we're going to change our format slightly for the foreseeable future. And so instead of waiting till 1 o'clock to have this featured speaker. We're going to start at 12:45, keep things moving along, and hopefully make for a better experience for the people who are participating online. So without further ado, I'm going to invite past President Tom Thomas to come up and introduce our speaker today.
Thank you, Richard. If you're unaware of who Steve Hill is, welcome to Las Vegas. He's been here 2 weeks. You have Steve's bio in the wheel, and Steve is currently serving, as you know, as the CEO and president of the Las Vegas Convention and Visitors Authority. He is also the chair of the Las Vegas Stadium Authority. So between those two roles, he gets to oversee about $3.5 billion of investment in our community. And I'm happy to say, having a little knowledge about both of those operations, that they are on time and on budget, and now we just need the fans, right? Steve Hill.
Thank you, Tommy. I was noticing in the brochure on the table that Tommy is now a senior member of this organization, which makes me feel really old because I've always thought of Tommy Thomas as the young guy. So, oh boy, time's passing. But thanks for the kind introduction. Good afternoon. I hope everybody here and everybody watching on the screen at home, we're all doing well. I hope your families are doing well. It has been a tough 5 or 6 months. This is the first time that I have spoken to a live group of people in front of me that are going on a screen in quite a while. And I appreciate the opportunity to come back. I did look at when the last time I spoke was. It was March 4th, and it was the Nevada Taxpayers Association. And that is exactly 186 days from today, which is exactly for those keeping score at home. In the leap year, that's exactly 6 months. So it has been exactly a half a year. Frankly, that we've all been going through what we're going through. And if you've gone to sleep and just woken up today, you might not realize what's happened. The stock market's down 5%. The Golden Knights are still playing. The NBA is still playing. So it kind of feels like March don't fit. But obviously, our community, the country, the world has gone through a very difficult situation, and we've got more of that in front of us. We're on the way back, but it's going to be a fairly long and fairly steep road. This community does a fabulous job of, unfortunately, having to bounce back from that. We've got to do that quite a bit over the last 12 years. We're going to have to do it for a couple of more, but I say this all the time. If you have to be in the tourism and hospitality industry, you have to rely on that industry for your community's economic health. We're fortunate that we're in Las Vegas because there is still no place like Vegas. And this community is going to bounce back because of everything that has been built and everything that's coming. And frankly, the perseverance of all the people who are here and all the people who have invested a great amount of both money and time and energy into making our city just such a great city. Typically, I can stand up in front of the mic and talk for 20 or 30 minutes off the cuff in a normal situation, but you've got 6 months of pent-up stuff every time. So I don't know how much time we've got, but what I want to try and do is kind of give you a broader overview of the topics that I'm thinking about, that the CBA is thinking about, the city is thinking about, and hope to leave some amount of time at the end for questions, or just say, talk a little bit more about that, or please stop talking about this. So, when we went into this situation, we were really out of luck. we were setting records on an almost every month basis for all the major statistics that we pay attention to, whether it's visitation, occupancy, or ADR, web card, the amount per room that we can charge. All of those things are great. And we had a lot on the horizon that was coming. We're obviously breaking records in the wrong direction. The numbers are 20 to 40% of what we would have expected if we had had a normal year. For example, most of our revenue comes from room tax. And we would have budgeted about $310 million of room tax. We budgeted 117 million. So about 38% of what we would have expected. And we budgeted with a very okay view of the future. It's hard to tell what's going to happen in the midst of all this, particularly when we did this for months. So we started at the low end and at about 10% of the normal month in June, and ended at about 70% next May. June and July had gotten off to a much better start, and August has as well than we budgeted. We're concerned that it's going to plateau there, and I'll talk about that a little bit later. But we've gotten off to a little better start than we would have expected in this. Our customers want to be back, our guests want to be back, and that shows even in the face of what they have to do in order to get. We are continuing to build the next era of Las Vegas, and that really portends well for us. We are building, we built the stadium. It's up and ready to go. And I can't wait for you to get the opportunity to see the inside. The outside's spectacular. The inside is just as great. It is built with Las Vegas in mind. There's this big white club on the north, just past the north end zone. There are big gathering areas for people to get together. I think it's going to have a similar vibe that T-Mobile does when the Knights are playing. And that's what Vegas is all about. It's what's going to make that place not only the coolest stadium in the country, but the most exciting. Not only games are going on, but events of all types as well. So we're obviously disappointed that we weren't able to open it to fans on day one. We were certainly disappointed by that. But that may have come, and it will be an exciting day. Really hope that the sphere that's being built behind the Venetian gets done. I'm glad to see that they started construction back up and making progress. That is a one-of-a-kind facility that will be an attraction in and of itself. And we're excited by that and hope to see it get done over the next couple of years. We've got properties that are being built. Circa is going to be the place to go in downtown. The first new property to be built from the ground up downtown in 30 years. When you get a chance to go in there, take that opportunity. It's really designed well, ties into the rest of downtown. We're excited to see that. Getting ready to open at the end of this year. Resorts World should be done in the second quarter of next year. Another great property. It'll tie really well with everything that's going on at the convention center, but it'll mean much more than that when that opens in about 9 months across the street. So those are fabulous projects. We had a lot of meeting space being built, and we spent some portion of our time over the years explaining to folks who live here in Las Vegas how important meetings and conventions are to Las Vegas. And I don't think we're going to actually explain that for a while. Everybody kind of gets it at this point. When you look at occupancy of hotel rooms right now, on the weekends we're averaging 55 or 60% occupancy. And during the week, we're in the 30 to 35%. And the reason that the weeks are down is we're not allowed to have meetings right now. And that's what fills up all the weeknights to the same extent that we get them filled during the week. Even more, maybe more important, but equally important. When we bring in our business guests, their budgets are much higher than a typical leisure guest. Their company is paying typically for them to get here, typically paying for their lodging, so they have additional money to use to enjoy everything Las Vegas has to offer. So it is not only just the head count that matters, but their spend is really important to Las Vegas, and we need to do everything we can to bring them back. We have thought quite a bit about the meeting and trade show market, what that's going to look like going forward. As I said, we're building a lot of meeting space. We currently have about 11.5 million square feet of meeting space in Las Vegas. Half of that is concrete floors for trade shows, primarily at the convention center, at the Sands, and Mandalay Bay. The other half is carpeted, typically for corporate meetings and banquets and things like that. We are either in the process or just recently opened about 3.5 million additional square feet of meeting space. Our 600,000 square feet of convention space and 150,000 square feet of meeting rooms. The Wynn has not had an event yet, but we toured their facility last week and it's ready and open. The Forum at Caesars on the east side, not the shops, but their new convention space is another 500,000 square feet. Mandalay added 250,000 square feet. There's some more coming. So we had already started to rearrange what we do in order to make sure that we can fill that meeting space, and that's going to be more work and more important now. One of the great things about Vegas is we were building that meeting space for a reason. There was more demand to have meetings in Vegas than we were able to meet. Now we're going to have even more capacity for those customers who want to be here. We're going to have to get more creative, particularly on the convention side, in how we think about scheduling our buildings. Some of these shows are going to shrink some, particularly through the next couple of years when we're past the health crisis, but the harm that has done to the economy, affects the shows primarily because they affect the number of companies that want to exhibit at those shows. It affects how big those exhibits are, and it will have some impact on the number of people who want to attend those shows. So their footprint, while they'll still come, may be smaller than what it has been in the past. So we're going to have to, more than we ever have, look at doubling up on the number of shows in our building, and do the same things with Sands, where the customer may have filled the entire facility in the past. They may want half of it now, we may need to find someone for the other half. And then, by the way, we've got another half across the street that we just built, so we're going to have to be filling all of those things at the same time. But it gets back to the unfortunate that we're in Vegas, because one of the things virtually every show organizer knows is that if you have a show in Las Vegas, your attendance is up on average 89% from any place else that you can have that show. So we have a lot of demand because of everything that Las Vegas has to offer, which is what drives that additional attendance. But for example, before this hit, the National Home Builders Association, which is a really big show, takes up the entire facility. We used to go back and forth each year between Las Vegas and Orlando. And 9-10 months ago, we were able to announce that the home builders are going to be here every year, and that's the reason. Their members are going to be here. Their attendance goes up 89% in comparison to the same show they have every other year in Orlando. And we're just going to have to put it down on that sales effort in order to not only bring all of the customers back that we had, but reach out to those who want to be here as well. Tell them you've got space, and bring it back to this community. We're also doing a fair amount on the transportation side. And probably read about that over the last few weeks, and maybe a little more, I think, certainly. Ever since I was a little kid, I've always wanted to go to trains. See, I had that saved up, so I didn't use that. Anyway, you probably all know the OCDA received authority from our board in Clark County to walk to the bankruptcy court with the Monorail Corporation and buy water. And there's a couple of reasons for that. One is that the monorail still carries almost 5 million people a year. And once we get back up and running, putting those people back on the streets is just going to add to the congestion problem that was bad to start. In addition to that, about a third of our convention attendees at the WCBA ride the monorail to get there. And I'm sure all of you at one time or another have been to one of those big shows and tried to drive through the area when one of those big shows is going on. And you got to add an hour to the time to just get through that area. So adding to the congestion around our major shows was something that was a real concern for our customers. And we want to make sure that that transportation option continues. In addition to that, about 12 years ago, the monorail entered into a franchise agreement amendment with Clark County. And in that agreement, the county provided the monorail with 91.9 feet around the monorail. And the non-compete agreement runs down the center of the strip to the east, from Sahara to Tropicana, over to Paradise or Joe Brown, kind of wanders around on the east side of it, but the non-compete prohibition on the east side of the strip eliminates the opportunity for competing transportation systems in that whole area. And we've been working with the Boring Company on our campus to install the first commercial use of that technology. And just today, the Boring Company emailed, after having worked with 30 major properties on the strip and into downtown, emailed them the draft plan for that transportation system throughout the resort. We're really excited about that. That is not going, wouldn't have been possible, not going to be possible unless we were able to close on that transaction with the monorail bankruptcy court. And hopefully we can do that in the next 30 to 45 days. That process ends with an auction. And so somebody can come in and outbid us. We frankly hope not, because it will go undoubtedly to a private owner who would then still have the rights of the non-compete. So that combination of things is, I think, in the best interest of Las Vegas, which is why we stepped up to do this. It's an affordable transaction for us. The monorail was built 20 years ago for $650 million. We are buying it for $24 million. So it was a great investment, but it has been a very solid transportation option for that side of the resort. So that's where we're headed with that. The Boring Company thing is going to be really cool. It's a system of 2 tunnels. And the tunnels are 12 feet in diameter, but the bottom of the tunnel is just a road line. So it's 30 feet. The top of the tunnel is typically 30 feet below grade. The bottom of the tunnels are 42 feet. The Boring Company is going to install that system at their expense. And it will connect to virtually all of the properties from the airport all the way up the strip to Finland. We'll also reach out and over time build it out into the community there. This is the start. It will happen, I think, pretty quickly. It'll take a while to get it completely designed, to go through the county permitting and the entitlement process. We can start construction quarter of next year. The tunnels that we built at the convention center are not quite almost a mile long each. And there are two of them, one in each direction, connecting 3 stations, 2 at each end, 1 in the middle. The first mile-long tunnel took 3 months to build. The second mile-long tunnel took 2 months to build. They are building a different boiler machine. And if you saw pictures of their launch, they had to dig a big pit in the ground that's 43 feet deep, get the walls around that, drop the boiler machine down in that pit, and launch it from there. The boring machine will bring for the next set of projects here in Las Vegas launches itself. It took 2 months to build it. It cost several $1 million to do it. This one comes on a tractor trailer, tilts up, and just starts throwing right into the ground wherever you just drop it. Builds its own ramp, builds a tunnel, pulls itself out of the ground, back onto a tractor trailer, and drives away. They really think they can get to the point, I've not had them do this, not tried them do this yet, but they can create a tunnel at the rate of 1 mile a day. And that makes it exceptionally fast, obviously, but also exceptionally supportive. It's one of the reasons we're willing to pay to have the system installed. They will pay for the main system themselves. The properties that will then be responsible, and the stations are offset from the main line so that it's an express system. So if you're at the convention center and you want to go to Mandalay Bay, you get a car and you do it the same way that you get a Uber. So there's an app on your phone, dial into the loop, tell them you want to go to Mandalay Bay, and a Tesla comes along, says Mandalay Bay on top of it, you jump in it, and it takes you straight there. It gets off at the station at the end of that day, basically like a highway system. There'll be an off ramp out of the main tunnel to the station. The stations can be above grade or below grade. Stations really don't have to be anything other than parking. You just get a ramp up out of the ground. You've got a parking lot right there. You just pull into the parking lot, drop somebody off, pick somebody up, go back on another ramp, back down into the tunnel, and to the next place you're going to go. A trip from the airport to the Golden Nugget downtown would be 8 or 9 minutes. So a real change for not only transportation in Las Vegas, but for our customers to be able to just get around and experience everything they have in a very easy and quick environment. The capacity for this system should be in the 10,000 cars an hour type range. To put that in perspective, I'm sorry, 10,000 people an hour, we're about 2 people per car. The bus system that we have going on in the strip right now is about 7,500 people an hour. So it should be the greater capacity in the bus system. And if we reach capacity in a tunnel, there's more money. So there's really unlimited capacity of the system itself. This is met with, I think I can say, universal excitement by all of the property owners, all up and down this potential route. So we're excited about what that's going to bring and what that's going to mean to this. So with that, I will stop talking, and that's kind of some of what I can talk about. I'm happy to answer questions.
I have 2. One I'm sure you know, the other one maybe you know. The maybe is, don't tell us the NFR is going to be canceled.
Don't tell us why.
The NFR will be canceled. Were you? I said on the The other one is, why on earth did you change the tagline?
That's a good question. We felt, and frankly, everything we do on the marketing side is done because of the research that we feel every week. And what we found was that people in our generations love the old title. I mean, it's emotional to our customers. We're not going to change it very much. But the next two generations don't get it. They like nothing stays here. We share everything. Everything's on our phone. If we do something, we take a picture of it, and it goes everywhere. So we don't get this. So we try to find a way to blend all of those generations because they're all important. And that it is tested exceptionally well. But folks like us who have lived with it for a while, it's like, oh man. So I get it.
I might have missed this, but when you were talking about the monorail and the transportation and what was, I know it got approved for the underground transportation from Resorts World to the Convention Center. What is that vehicle? What is that vehicle?
Yeah, that's the same Board County project. The first two extensions off of our property, one is going to Encore, one is going to Resorts World. This is kind of an interim step that directly connects. Kind of interestingly, the convention center is in that non-compete area that the monorail goes. But there are a couple of exceptions in that non-compete related to the convention center itself. And one is that we are allowed to make direct connections without a stop in the middle anywhere we want to make a direct connection. And the idea originally was when Echelon was being built, they wanted to make some kind of direct connection from the Echelon to the convention center. So that a little bit of an exception from the non-compete area still exists. So we applied for those two extensions through that exemption.
It looks like we are on the leading edge of your transportation system, the boring company. Is that being done anywhere else in the world?
It is not. We are the first place that's happening. And they had made some progress in a few other cities. In LA, in Chicago, Washington, D.C., they have projects that are trying to get underway. I knew Tesla because I was involved in the Gigafactory deal in Northern Nevada 6-7 years ago. And a couple of years ago, they called and said, would you like a system put in from the convention center of the airport? I said, well, if you just want to put a system in to show that it'll work, great. But if you really want to make a difference, I don't understand. So we started working on that a couple of years ago. And we were in the process of designing the expansion. And we had kind of as a default, put in a transportation system on our campus, which is about 1.5 miles long from one edge of the building to the other, the far end of the campus. And it was too much for a full facility show. So we knew we had to move people somehow. And what we were designing, or at least thinking about, was a system that's very much like an airport drop-off and loading area outside, where you have an elevated roadway, a couple of lanes on that roadway, you can drive in, drop people off, pick people up, turn around. And we went through an RFP process, and the boarding company was clearly the right answer. We were about a third of the expense of any other system that we looked at, a monorail, the trams like the MGM has, or just an elevated roadway that somebody even proposed a set of gondolas that would take people above the facility. All of those were at least $150 million, most were over $200 million. We're getting the boarding company project for 52. So quite a bit different set of expenditures. But we are the only place this is happening. Elon happened to come to town about 10 weeks ago or so and look at the progress that they were making. And I talked to him about what he had in mind in other cities. And he said, well, Vegas has made a commitment to us. We've made a commitment to Vegas. We were going to stay here until we get this right, and then we will let
So with COVID and then the big crash in 08, 09, there's been a talk about further diversifying our economy, and not putting all of our eggs in the tourism convention center basket. What do you see the future looking like with ongoing diversification in our economy, and how that's going to work, or how you will work with that from a tourism convention perspective?
Yeah, sure. Well, it's an area I care about, and I do think it's important that we continue to diversify the economy. While I was doing that for a living, I used to say all the time that we need to diversify the economy with the gaming and hospitality industry, and not instead of the gaming and hospitality industry. That's still the case. The very starting point is to capitalize on all that the gaming and hospitality industry can bring, and what we can do in addition to what we already do on the periphery. And folks are working on that. What businesses need primarily are customers. And so you look around and think, well, who's going to buy stuff? And if they're going to buy it, it'd be nice to have it made here instead of having it made someplace else. So if there's a service, if those people live here instead of someplace else. One of the biggest buyers in the state of Nevada up and down the strip as well. And we have done things in the past, like with MGM, they've got a whole tech department. It works on any number of things. And we went over there and said, can you give us a list of, and you're thinking about it, we would go find companies that would plug into the need that you have, and we could bring it. And they give us a list of 254 projects. So those are the kinds of things you can do. We're becoming the sports capital of the United States, for sure. And I think one of the greatest opportunities we have is building an industry around sports. Whether that's health or nutrition or equipment or training methods or media around sports, all of those things and more are available now for something Nevada to pursue. Renewable energy is a big deal. What we're doing in transportation should lead to an industry around transportation. We've got the Hyperloop facility in North Las Vegas. We've got what we're doing in the Warren Company. We've got Apple running around town testing autonomous vehicles. I went to DC about 8 months ago, and the Secretary of Transportation had put a committee together on cutting edge transportation. It's a really smart thing to do. But their primary topics were the Warren Company and Hyperloop. And so they called it a special meeting because I was in town, got the committee together to learn what's going on in Las Vegas. And I said, let us just move in office. We're going to need regulation around the Hyperloop. We're going to need regulation how we use across state lines with the Warren Company. Work with us here. Put those regulators here so you can work in conjunction with all of the design and efforts that are going on right now to speed the whole process and make it better for the companies and for the regulators. So I think there's a real possibility of that. But those are the areas that I see just outside of what we typically do and do so well that can grow in the future.
Steve, the article in the RJ, I think it was yesterday, that talked about essentially the acquisition of Rotary. Almost left me with the impression that you're setting up the construction of Rotary once the tubes are built in the
Yeah, no, it's a good point. I wouldn't phrase it that way, but as we look at it with what we think are pretty clear eyes right now, the monorail has 8 to 10 years of life. And the reason for that is that the trains are going to have to be replaced in that 8 or 10 year period. And, when they say we're buying this for $24 million, that's, maybe what it's worth. It might not be worth quite that. If we could run it for 8 or 10 years without competition. If you're going to put $200 million into a set of trains, you're never going to get that to pay back. At least we don't have all the answers. And if somebody else wants to come along and put $200 million worth of trains in it, look at extending it, great, we're all ears, happy to do it. But the only CDA won't be doing it. That is the case, the 8 to 10 year lifespan is the case whether we own it or somebody else owns it. And if somebody else owns it, it's going to be a private company. They're going to protect it like a compete area. And 8 or 10 years from now, we're not going to have enough. And we're not going to have the opportunity to replace it because it's going to be in place until they cease their operations. We're going to go through some period of time with no transportation solution at all. And that's why we feel like it's important for us to step up and help facilitate the best transition that's possible for the city and not just protect our interest in the bottom side.
Good question. Real quickly, given the statistics that you mentioned about occupancy and all the restrictions that are governmental, without from underneath the speaker, government imposed restrictions. Are you active lobbying the governor to try to adjust some of these restrictions that are in place?
Well, yeah, I would not phrase it as lobbying. We try and partner with the governor's office on creating a pathway that takes into account the health and safety of the citizens of the state and the workforce and guests, as well as takes into account things like we need to get K-12 education moving too, and we need to get churches back open. So we try not to be just oriented around our interests, but understand that the community's interests and the gaming and hospitality industry's interests have to align. And we need to meet this health crisis. That is what is causing the problem and what's going to make it go back. So we're trying to play the right role in all of those situations. Thanks, everybody.
I couldn't read the chat. Were there any questions from any of the people participating by Zoom? Apparently not. Well, thank you, Steve. And as is our custom, we give you a Hero Channel Award. And we will select here the rest of these. As a point of presidential privilege, I just want to point out all those questions about economic diversification. You probably saw that op-ed in our paper a few days ago from the president of one of the larger gold companies, extolling how important mining has been to the history of Nevada, and pointing out that in the 1930s, the mining industry was feeling put on, that the state was relying on them exclusively to fund the budget. And so we got together and decided to diversify the economy. And so we legalized gambling in the 1930s. Well, fast forward 50 years from then, and in the 1980s, here we are back to the same discussion up in Carson City. How do we diversify the economy? We can't expect to balance the state budget on the backs of the gaming industry forever. And we made lots of, and some of you in the room are certainly intimately familiar with all the efforts that were made to diversify the economy with some limited success. But it really wasn't until a former governor appointed Steve Hill to the newly formatted Governor's Office of Economic Development that we saw these fantastic projects come along, thanks to Steve and the agency. And it's always amazing to me when I hear Steve talk. He never takes credit personally for anything, which clearly he was present at the creation on all this stuff. So let's give him another round. Thank you. What we're going to do now with this new format is we will adjourn the formal part of the meeting. We'll turn off the Facebook live stream. And if you want to have a conversation with anybody on the Zoom, or you want to just have fellowship among yourselves, I know we jumped right into the speaker, and so you didn't have a chance prior to this. But we've got a few more minutes before Lowry kicks us out. So we'll turn off the live stream, and I can't imagine that anybody's going to say anything that they wouldn't want broadcast to the world, but just in case, we'll do it. Thank you very much.
Okay.